Hey everybody, thanks for checking out another episode of the Aaron Advantage podcast. Today I am super excited to have probably a guest that should have been on a lot sooner, the guy who's responsible for getting me into real estate, Mr. Grant Waldroup.
Thanks a lot, Aaron.
Hey, you know what? Thank you. I am living the life that I love specifically because I got a call from you one day and said, hey man, my mom needs somebody to work the front desk at our firm, and I think you'd be perfect for it.
Yeah, we were, 19 years old?
As a matter of fact, 5 days from today will be my 16-year anniversary since that first day I started working with you guys.
That's unreal, isn't it?
It blows my mind. Today, I specifically wanted to have you in to talk about some of the things that you're doing in your business because, I'm highly impressed with the success you've had, the team you've built, and everything else. And I like to share that information with people who are thinking about getting into real estate or building a team because educating and helping other people is something I love doing. So before we get into that, why don't we just do a quick backstory? Why are you in real estate? What got you started in this business? Obviously, we were 19, so this is a fun backstory to share.
Well, the real story is, let's go back to like sophomore year of high school. So I actually wanted to be an architect. That was my goal. I wanted to be an architect. And after getting into senior year, I decided I didn't feel like leaving the area. And I kind of had some doubts about going to architecture school. But I had a lot of passion for housing, right? And my mother, Anita, had gotten into real estate and when I was 15 years old. So at the time I'm 18 years old, she's 3 years in. Graduate high school, going to USI. I actually worked for a real estate investor for about 6 months and helped him start some businesses and manage his properties. And then I got into getting my license and became a realtor at age 19. Yeah,
and at age 19, both of us, pretty fresh out of high school, not knowing exactly what it was, but knowing we wanted to do something with real estate. I'll never forget just the visions we had of what we were going to do and how we were going to take over the world. And surprisingly enough, a lot of that stuff's come true.
Yeah, it was really interesting to think back to 19 about what my vision of my career looked like. I didn't know hardly anything about real estate then. Yeah. Which was kind of a good thing. I had nothing to lose, and I had not a whole lot of bad habits to break because we really just kind of took the instruction from my mother, Anita, and we were basically her assistants, and we had to break the ice and break the comfort zones and start from the very bottom.
Yeah. Starting from the bottom, I think, is something that probably set both of us up really well. We'll get into the team kind of structure and how we did things starting off. One of the first teams really in the area to kind of do stuff. But I feel like, let's face it, when you're 19 years old, having somebody trust you with their largest financial investment in their life is not the easiest thing to convince people is a good idea, right?
Yeah. Definitely hard to be in the business at that age. But I thank all my clients actually that gave me the confidence and trust because we weren't selling houses at 19 and 20 years old.
Yeah.
And you could tell that they worked with us because they really liked us. They did trust us. And they were okay with us learning. They understood we were new. Mm-hmm. But we had the backing, of a strong realtor. My mother is a good example and help. And so, it was like a team effort. So.
Yeah. I'll never forget, talking about the strong backing with a great work ethic and a great realtor, stuff we did to kind of prep her for her appointments was always great educational stuff for us. I remember working on CMAs consistently and making sure we're getting contracts prepared and stuff like that. A lot of people who are getting into real estate or thinking of doing so watch these shows on HGTV and Bravo, and they're like, oh my God, I get to open doors and cash checks. That sounds like an amazing job. And they don't realize all the work that goes in behind the scenes, that we were fortunate to have a prime example in your mother to show us how to do all those things.
Yeah. TV likes to show the fancy, high-end part of real estate or the people that are very successful, but they take all the hard work and all the nightmares that happen in the deals out of the TV and just show you the fun part for the clients. And,
right.
And it's nice to have that image for TV, but it's not reality.
Yeah, and the biggest culprit of that, in my opinion, is House Hunter, where it's like, oh, we're going to take you to look at 3 homes, you're going to decide the one you want, and then you're going to move in, and it's a wonderful story, and everybody's happy. When have you ever had an opportunity to show 3 homes and get a client in a door?
Very few. I mean, it's happened probably in my career, but at the same time, they don't know how many months can be spent, or let's not scare anybody, but how about a whole year looking
right
for that right property?
Yeah,
So,
a whole year. And that's one thing that people never consider. They think, okay, you got an easy job, you're just making all this money. And like you just said, you might have an entire year wrapped up with helping somebody through the process of finding the right home, getting it under contract, negotiating the inspections. With the market changing, let's see how appraisals are going to be going. All these things that happen, that we have to be able to navigate.
Yeah, they never show that part. They just get the offer accepted and they close.
I wish that was the case. So we kind of touched on the fact that we started off with the team concept from day one. And a lot of that had to do with something that a lot of agents in the industry today have never experienced in their career, because we've been on an upward trajectory for the past several years. We've been fortunate or unfortunate, depending on how you looked at it. I think it's fortunate that we've already survived a downturn in the market.
Oh, absolutely.
We've seen the worst of the worst.
We basically got in at the worst.
Exactly.
So
I think that kind of prepared us in a way that most other people have not been prepared for things that might be coming up, which is implementing systems and putting things together to really find out how we can focus on our strengths as the individuals we were at the team at that time, to really be able to continue selling real estate even when the market kind of turns. So give us a little bit about how we decided to start that team and the whole concept we implemented back in, I think it was 2009, which is crazy to say, 13 years ago.
I look back at it and I know like 2009 is when we started the official Waldroup team, and it was, you and I and my mother. That was it. Just 3 people. There wasn't many teams in the industry. Yeah. It was a new concept, and I feel like we really did it because we all needed the support and to help each other and to help us grow. I was at a very low point where I was not surviving. I wasn't selling much at all. It was a very hard market. You and I were very young still, which is another challenge. My mother was, is a hard worker and established, but still struggles. It's 2009. So, the power of the 3 of us growing and helping each other, and we grew, substantially over the next couple of years. It's so much better for us to do it together than alone at that time, for sure.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people have concepts in mind of what a team looks like, because everybody hears teams in real estate is like the next big thing, but nobody really knows what that looks like. And I think the pure division of labor that we put into place, where we kind of had, I was working more of the administrative and marketing side. Grant was helping out with the market analysis and things of that nature, as well as working with buyers, and really just affording you guys to focus on what I think is the most important part of the business, which is developing and maintaining the relationships with clients, is really what allowed us to gain that trust and really have that exponential growth that we were able to experience.
Yeah, we have a lot of clients that we think back to our first time helping them, and maybe that was 2009, 2010, 11, and we've kept those clients and retained them, and they trust us. We've had the repeat business and referrals to their family and friends, and that all just kind of started with us proving ourselves, delivering excellent service, so that as the years pass and we do more business and our clients need us again, because people do buy and sell more than you think,
right?
We wanted to be there and be that person.
Proving ourselves and making sure that we're there and being that person for those people harkens me back to the days. And this is a phrase your mom used all the time. We're always like, yes, we know, but you got to pay your dues in this business.
Oh, we heard that all the time. And I'll tell you, in the moment of being new in the business and being young, that's the last thing I wanted to hear. Right. Well, Grant, you got to pay your dues, and now I look back going, I know exactly what she meant. And we fought through those years, and it's hard to be the new agent, and new, I'm not talking about year one. Right. I'm talking like your first 5 years.
Exactly.
For how long it might take you to get established. So she was right. Those phrases she said were absolutely right. So
yeah, it's always like, okay, we get it. Yeah, we got to do this. But that's one of the foundations of the things that I teach when I'm educating new agents is you got to understand that the things that you do today may not result in a tangible, measurable difference in your business today or tomorrow. But over time, they stack up and they build and they build and they build. And then you'll see that the fruits of your labor come down the road, and you can actually see exactly how important it is to pay those dues, to build those relationships, to do those things, to be successful.
I was just telling some team members last week, we were doing some reviews, and I was just giving some advice and tips and trying to point out things they could do to help grow their business and improve their business. And I told them, I was like, you can't always measure if today was a good day or not. If you did something that actually paid off today, you have to do the right things every day so that when you look back, maybe it was a great week or a great month or at the end of the year, great year. So
yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. So 2009, 2010, 2011, they all happened. We're all building. We're all getting ourselves better and better in the business. Then some things happened for me personally that changed, unfortunately, the team dynamic, which benefits for everybody involved over time. But 2017 came around, and I got the opportunity to be management with FC Tucker, and that meant that I had to leave the team.
Yep. Pretty sure I high-fived you in the office, said, I'll miss you, but I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think I would be where I was today if I didn't have the support of you and your mom throughout the years of building a business where I became successful, really supporting me as I was able to start with the things that I love, which is, teaching those classes and being an educator. And the great thing is, even though we're not on a team anymore, we still have the ability to mastermind and share our knowledge with each other and help each other grow. I tell you, I think that's something that's so overlooked in this industry is the camaraderie and the sharing of knowledge between professionals. A lot of people see real estate portrayed in movies as this cutthroat business where I'm like, it's not getting my business. Screw that guy. It's not that way at all, is it?
No. You can't be that way. So, no, we've always shared a lot. We call each other for input. We congratulate each other. And our company has that culture too. And that's why we're there. And that's why you like being a manager as well. You're an excellent sales agent, but you're also a great manager to
Appreciate
coach
that.
people and to teach them, and that's why we have a team as well. I like having other agents, but I like coaching them.
Yes.
I want to see them succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's just talk about some of that success that your team has had. Now, I'm talking about your team specifically, which is, 5 members now?
Yeah,
6?
6.
Yeah.
6 members. Well, 6 licensed members, full-time assistant as well. So kind of 7 now.
Yeah, 6 licensed members, full-time assistant, and somehow, with only 6 licensed members and a full-time assistant, in 2021, they were able to close over 185 transactions for $35 million worth of volume. That is absolutely phenomenal. I'm I am so pumped for the success that you're having. How the hell do you do it?
This goes back. I've always been coachable. I've always accepted coaching. So, I have a real estate coach that I've had for 12 years. And so that's me basically just wanting to learn more and more, not thinking I have it all figured out. I'm constantly trying to educate myself. And this has been a matter of years of trying to form good habits, personal and work-wise, finding systems that work, critiquing those systems.
Yep.
Honestly, adjusting the systems. If I have a big growth, that kind of tells me I got to probably reevaluate my systems and go, what can I do to make sure that we can handle this growth so that our customer experience never goes downhill? We never want to lower our service quality because of, Grant or his team, man, they're really selling a lot of houses, but they're not getting the right experience. We don't want that at all. So we've really, with the help of others, just like yourself, talking to you about things, getting advice, talking to my coach, talking to my wife, Katie, about it, my mother, just getting ideas and going, what can we do next to evolve this team and so we can continue to grow and provide the really good service experience we want for our clients.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about those systems. I know you've been talking about coaching and things, and I've mentioned that I'm a mentor. We're both subscribers to the Brian Buffini principle of working by referral.
Yes.
How has that experience of being in coaching and everything else impacted the way that you focus your day? Let's just start with the day. How does that impact, what am I going to do today to make sure that my customer experience is on the same level of professionalism and how much enjoyment my clients are getting? What do you do to make sure that that's happening?
It's the biggest thing is organization and knowing how to prioritize activities, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I struggled years ago as I was growing, but again, I had coaching. And my coach was saying, Grant, you've got to have structure. You got to have organization. You got to be able to make basically a list of things that have to be done and then know how to prioritize that, what that means. And that was able to help me go, okay, how can I get the best, the top 3 things that need to be accomplished today, right?
Right.
And everything else, let's try to get that done as well, or schedule it for tomorrow, or ask for help. Maybe have a team member come in or an assistant that can take that task and get that done as well. If I didn't have that mentality, there's no way. I wouldn't know where to start every day. I also had to honestly kind of grow up, learn to get up, get after it, stop starting late in the day.
Yeah.
And that's where I started sounding like my mother again. I'm getting older, so I'm starting to understand this better. But you got to get up. You got to have a plan, right? You can't plan today.
Right.
You plan it yesterday. And there's some things that I plan a week ahead or a month ahead that might turn into more personal stuff or family time. But yeah, if I didn't have a plan and a structure, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing at all.
I'm going to unpack a couple things you said there because I think they're super important for people who are thinking about getting into real estate to hear. Plan and structure and prioritize. Not things most people associate with the carefree lifestyle of just showing homes and all this stuff. People think I'm going to get into real estate because I'm my own boss. I can set my own schedule. I can do whatever I want. And that's all true. That's all accurate. But you can't see the kind of growth that you have without actually setting up those systems to be able to prioritize and do those things.
Well, personally, this is how I manage my stress, right? Stress management, mental health. I call you sometimes and how's your mental health today, Aaron? Are you hanging in there?
I appreciate those calls because it's always a reminder that I do need to focus on that and make sure I'm taking care of that.
We laugh about it a lot, but there are days that you're like, I'm so far behind because my expectations for myself are really high. They always have been. Everybody's different, but we push ourselves. That's just, it's natural. So I do expect a lot out of myself. I do love time off, but it's funny. It's like, too much time off, I start feeling guilty.
Right.
It's not my work ethic. So I like to accomplish things. And that's kind of why I think we're really good at real estate is because we like to accomplish goals for not just for ourselves, but for our clients.
Right.
And we know we've accomplished it. It's done. It's finished. I'm a guy that loves closure.
Yes.
I'm going to execute and finalize. I have to follow through.
Right.
I can't do a task and not finish it. That does not sit well with me. And thank God for Brian Buffini, who has us do this heritage profile where it really breaks down your personality and you learn about yourself. And I've learned those things. And it kind of goes back to you have to focus on your strengths and know what your weaknesses are. Know how you're wired. Even my wife and I, she's done the heritage profile where her and I will study each other's way of thinking.
Right.
So we understand each other better as well. And so I just love the mentality of that, understanding all that and how that reflects in your life and how you work, right? And how you accomplish things in this business.
Yeah. And specifically the prioritizing and planning, I think, is also really important because especially in the market we've had, you can't tell anymore because it's completely burned off. But running around with your hair on fire like I used to all the time is just a surefire way for people to burn themselves out in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that by prioritizing specific tasks, you and I as team leaders, our most important thing is to make sure that we're educating the people on our team and we're bringing in opportunities for business. And we can't do that if we're focusing on some of the minutia that goes into different things. That maybe, like, hey, send off an amendment to get this done or things like that. Paperwork is necessary, but it's also able to be handled by somebody else. And I think there's a lot of people that, because of the market being the way it was, kind of threw out all of that prioritization and they're just like, oh, somebody needs to see a house right now. I just got to go and do it.
Run.
Just run. How have you been able to kind of take that dichotomy of, I got to be available, but I also need to be the professional, and put those together over the last 18 to 24 months specifically, where the inventory's just dropped and things have just gone crazy?
Yeah. This is where we say, we don't have it all figured out, right? We're still learning. We're still trying to improve. And, but we remind ourselves, we are not perfect. We can't be there all the time at the exact time for everybody. Another reason why we have a team, right? We have team members we can refer off to or ask that team member to come in and help us with the client. ask our assistant for help to send out some stuff or contact people for us. We do the best we can, but it's very demanding, and it can wear on you as a person. But again, this goes back to reminding yourself you have structure, you have systems, and I've always just kind of understood that if you can't, let's say you just can't commit to something today that someone needs, ask for help, or say, can I get with you tomorrow at this time? Like, try to find something that works, So
I couldn't agree with that more. Another thing that I think that helps us, that a lot of people often overlook in this business, and something that is really something that stands out to me about the way that you operate and the way that you work, is the relationship not only that you have with your team and your clients, but specifically the relationships that you have with the agent on the other side of the transaction. I have always thoroughly enjoyed working with you on transactions, not just because we're buddies and everything else, but because you have those systems in place and that you are on top of those things. You're a lot less stressed in a transaction than somebody might be when things do go wrong. Because let's face it, things go wrong on occasion.
Oh, yeah.
I've always been super impressed about the fact that even when you're stressed and you know there's something that's going to be a problem, you're still able to keep that level head and make it through those situations. And I've heard other people say the same thing. Like, man, Grant is great to work with. He never gets upset. He never freaks out. How do you maintain that composure all the time?
Oh, well, honestly, I mean, my personality, I love to work fast. I'm a sprinter. I like to sprint. I also like to rest, take a break. But I do well with a full day and situations that pop up. And yeah, I've formed really good relationships with our realtors in our area because they know that if they have a deal with me, that I have a lot of confidence in what I do, and I'm going to handle things professionally and calmly. And I know how to relay things the right way to other people in the deal or our clients. I'm not going to overreact and get all emotional because real estate, it is really hard and complications come up, and it can make you stressed and nervous and really unsure of what the outcome might look like. But I've always had this mentality of if I can figure out a solution, I'm going to give it my 100% effort to figure it out.
Right.
If I can't fix it, I'll at least know that I tried my very best. And at that point, it is what it is. But we have to give full effort. We have to think outside the box. Maybe there's a resource or another person we can lean on for advice or get a second opinion. I mean, I've always handled it. I know I have a process. Something presents itself as a complication. Okay, I'm going to be calm. I'm going to prioritize that right now. We're going to figure out what the problem is. Maybe we're going to write some notes down of what possible ways to fix that is. And then we're going to give it our full effort. Yeah. And I can explain what's going on to whoever else I'm dealing with the right way. I don't let my emotions get ahead of me and flip out or get real emotional, because I know whoever else I'm working with is going to feed off of me. Yes. So if I have a client who, something happens to their deal and I just totally lose it, right? What are they going to do? Right. They're going to feel very uneasy, because if I'm worried... If you're the professional and I hired Grant, the professional who's been doing this for over 16 years. If he's flipping out, oh my gosh, I think we need to be worried. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You're setting the tone for failure. Let's not do that. Let's try to be logical about it. Let's try to figure out a solution. And you can't fix everything. So sometimes you just don't have that outcome. Right. Again, let's find a positive, optimistic approach here to move forward from this. Yeah. It's one of those things that when I'm training new agents and when I'm talking to people about trying to build their business, the term is cooperating brokers. Our job is to work together to find the best outcome for all parties involved. With you saying you're really good at relaying information and everything else, there's a prime example that comes to my mind, and I won't divulge anybody's names or anything for something like this, but I remember a time that there was a property line dispute kind of issue because of a deck, and the conversations with the other agent seemed that they weren't fully grasping everything that needed to be done. And I remember you calling me and saying, hey, is it out of line for me to just say, hey, what if we all meet at the house and I just explain it to your client? And I said,
it's never out of line if the other agent's okay with it.
Yeah.
And not only did they think it was totally fine, they were appreciative because they thought, you know what? The fact that he wants to take the time to try to educate my client in a way that I can't do, I think is a fantastic testament to the fact that you do relay that information in a way that is beneficial and helpful to everybody in the transaction.
You have the best memory ever. Yeah. You always do. So like, I know what year you went back to. You're probably thinking like 2010, 2011.
Yes, I am.
And it's a client that I've honestly helped them buy and sell properties probably 10 times.
Yeah.
And this is one of my early deals with them. It was actually their personal home. This client's actually an investor too. But I was selling his personal home for him. And maybe this is why he stuck with me so long.
Could be.
Because he knows I'll do the best I can and I'll take care of it. But yeah, the other agent on the other end of the deal, very nice person, but you could tell that they didn't know the solution. And this was a new, it was a new issue we hadn't dealt with before.
Right.
But I was listing agent, they were buyer's agent. And again, my mentality was, even back then, this was like my 5th or 6th year probably in real estate. Let's try to figure it out. And I called that realtor and just said, can we please get together? I mean, and also, I think at some point I said, do you mind if I kind of take the lead on this with your buyer? You can be out there with us, but I've got an idea. I've got a solution. Do you mind if you just let me talk to your client? Because we can't do that without permission.
Right.
So, and she was like, oh yeah, that would be great. And we met out there. We solved the issue. And I know that was a lasting impression for that other agent with how I was handling things the right way. Mm-hmm. Also wasn't pushing that agent out. I was saying, let's work together. Let's get this figured out. And we did.
Yep.
And it was a huge success. And I know years going on, my future dealings with that agent were very, that we just grew from there and appreciated each other, respected each other. And those kind of things is what I wanted to be like, because you're handling things the right way. You're also building a good reputation.
Right.
So
I tell you, the reputation that you have of being somebody who's willing to work with people and think outside of the box and do those kind of things definitely is impacted by those kind of things. Also, the innovative thoughts that you have on ways to do business. Let's take, for example, this past year where we got into a market where if you were a contingent buyer, it was basically impossible to be able to get a new house. Mm-hmm. Sellers were like, hey, I'm getting all these offers, multiple offers consistently. I can't wait around for you to put your home on the market. And then sellers who are first-time sellers like, well, what if I put my house on the market and I sell it tomorrow and I can't find anything? You were the first person to come to me with a question of, is there such thing as a contingent listing? Is there something that we can do to try to say, hey, we are willing to sell you the house with the understanding that we want to reserve the right for a period of time to be able to find suitable housing? And I was like, yeah, if everybody agrees to it, I don't see why you couldn't do that. And we spent some time together to work out the wording and stuff. But I mean, where did that idea even come from? Like, nobody else was thinking of these things in the marketplace. You're the first person to say, how do I do this? There's got to be a solution. What can we do? And we found a way to make it happen.
You know, I mean, in the moment, I was, I think we did it twice. We didn't do it a lot because I wasn't trying to do it all the time. There was a right purpose for this.
Right.
So just for example, like both these people I did this for over probably a 4 or 5 month period, I'm at their house. They want to move. They need to move. They need a bigger home. They're growing family, basically. They need a bigger home. But they went to the lender and they found out they cannot buy without selling first. They don't have enough equity to do a bridge loan.
Yep.
They can't be approved to have 2 mortgages. And so and they're in a small area where, well, actually one was in Evansville, which is not a small area.
Right.
One was in Gibson County, which is small. And so looking for that specific home in a small town is even harder.
Much harder, yeah.
But even in Evansville with a big population, it's even more aggressive, right? Because you're competing with more buyers.
Yes.
So both clients are like, they're at a dead end. And they both want to move. It's actually a really good investment for them also to sell at this time to get top dollar. Mm-hmm. But we can't get them. We can't write a contingent offer on their home selling. It'll never get accepted. We're competing at homes all the time. So, I called Aaron and I said, I have an idea, but I want your expertise on this. You're really good at wording. I wanted to make sure all the wording was correct. I ran it by other managers at our company as well, and everyone's like, yeah, this will work, but no one's done this. And I said, yeah, I know. I'm trying to think outside the box because I'm trying to figure out how to help my clients make the move they need to. Otherwise, they're just stuck.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. It's a good time to buy, So we did this addendum, that just basically said we're going to put the house on the market. We get an offer accepted. We will ask the buyer if they are willing to let the seller have like a 30-day contingency to find a home, find suitable housing, right? And it just meant, okay, we'll get the offer accepted, take the house off the market, but the buyer has to give the seller 30 days to go get an accepted offer on a home.
Yep.
And if they don't, either A, 30 days expires, and let's say the buyer says, I'll give you more time because I want your house.
Yeah.
That's nice. B, buyer says, I'm going to go look for a different house. We respect that. We give the deposit back, and we go back on the market, right? Mm-hmm. But it worked out both times that we actually got that seller an accepted offer within a couple weeks, and it worked out perfectly. I didn't want to do it a whole lot because it doesn't always work that easy, and we don't want to have a lot of listings out there that are on the market that sellers could not find a house, and then people are out money and time, and so. But we did it, and it worked very well, and the clients were so impressed. They're like, they knew I'd definitely come up with this new way of doing it.
And not only the fact that they're impressed that you did it, but the fact that you actually took the time to think through an option. Whereas so many other agents may have just said, if you can't make an offer without selling your home first, maybe you'll have to rent. So, I can't work with you right now until we get that figured out. You took the time to actually sit down and say, these clients are people who have this goal, that there's got to be a way for me to figure out how I can make that happen for them. Maybe there's not. Maybe there's something that says, there's nothing we can do, but I'm going to take the time to actually work through the process and figure that out. And I think the fact that you just took the time and spent your effort asking other experts and other people for input to put together a plan to make it happen definitely sets you apart from a lot of other people in this industry, which is probably why, unlike the 87% of people who burn out in 5 years or less, you've been around 3 times that time at 16 years in the business.
Yeah. I mean, I always lay out the worst case scenario to people too. What's the worst thing could happen, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about that. So I lay it out, and they're like, well, that's okay. Well, okay, let's try this then,
Yeah.
Here's the positive. Here's the negative. What do you want to do? But yeah, I was so glad that, I talked about that, and I was able to implement that and get those 2 families into the home they wanted, and it worked out great.
Yeah.
So,
and help those buyers be able to work out a deal, because that's when the people who are buying their home, maybe they were in a unique position where they had the ability to let it sit and wait a little bit longer than somebody else. So you're also helping out someone who may not have been your client, who was the buyer on this property, to get into something that maybe somebody else wasn't willing to be able to work with them on. So those kind of things are the kind of things that go unnoticed by the general public who doesn't actually work with somebody who does what you do, but something that to me is inspiring and just awesome to see other realtors who take the time to really put in the effort to take care of their clients.
Yeah, I love talking about this stuff because you're right. This is what people don't know. They don't see. They think what they see on TV. They think we put a sign in the yard.
Yep.
And it all works out and we get paid. And it's just like, no. There's a lot of creativity, a lot of experiences that we've learned through our career that help us accomplish goals for people based on what we have done or have seen, have learned. So I love that part of it. Yeah. We're constantly building from that.
And unlike, some other industries or professions, the industry is changing all the time. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you said this at the very beginning, you've always been coachable. You've always been somebody who's willing to learn. You're always somebody who's seeking out advice from other people is something that I think a lot of people forget about as they get more experience in this career. But I think it takes true wisdom that's earned over time to still understand that learning from other people can still make you better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of thought process into that I'm having right now, but but I love it because, we're always trying to constantly educate ourselves and seek more information and even go outside of our area and what are other people in our industry doing? What's working for them? What's the innovative things to do? And how can we critique our systems to improve our business and our customer experience? And we're always willing to learn and try something new I never act like we have it figured out.
Yeah.
There are realtors out there that just think they've got it figured out. They don't like change.
Yep.
I'm always open to change.
This is how we've always done it, is a phrase that I absolutely hate and is not allowed in my team in any way. So, Grant, we are about out of time here. I could go on and on for days, and we'll have to get you back in here to get more deep dive into the specifics of how you and your team close 185 transactions for $35 million in a single year. So impressed by everything that you're doing. If there was one major thing you wanted to say to somebody who's thinking about getting into real estate, what would that piece of advice be today?
First of all, you got to put yourself somewhere you're going to be surrounded by the right people. You got to have the right training and resources that are going to be given to you. It's a hard business to get into, so you really have to set yourself up for the best chance in your first couple of years to learn as much as possible, have a good influence around you, and you gotta keep that drive. You got to keep that drive. You got to figure out how you're going to improve your habits and have structure. And it's a hard business, but you're going to have to fight through it. But with the right people behind you, you can absolutely make it.
Couldn't agree with that more. Grant, thanks so much for coming in. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, this is Aaron Luttrull. Thank you so much for checking out the Aaron Advantage podcast. If you would like to be a guest, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. We're always looking for other people to interview.